Today, I would like to start with a powerful quote that has been a guiding light in my life. It's a pearl of wisdom from the legendary Chinese philosopher Confucius, who once said that life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Now, isn't that profound? It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound truths are the simplest ones. But here's the kicker: simplicity is not always easy to grasp. We often overlook it, we sometimes dismiss it, or we even ignore it. And especially when it comes from the great minds who have achieved extraordinary things in life. So they share their secrets, and we are like, that's it. It can't be that simple. Now, it's a sad fact of life that great people rarely divulge their deep insights into how they achieved their greatness. And the sadder fact of life is that when a few of the greats do divulge the secrets of their greatness, we ignore them because these secrets are often too simple. They seem too pedestrian for us to appreciate. Like if you are learning martial arts and you hear Bruce Lee speak out the secret to his greatness when he says, absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. You may end up saying, that's great thought, Mr. Lee, but is that it? It cannot be so simple. Or consider investing when we read people like Warren Buffett who reveal that the only two rules of successful investing are rule number one, never lose money, and rule number two, never forget rule number one. Our brain protests and says, well, that's a great thought, Mr. Buffett, but is that it? It cannot be so simple. Investing is simple, like Buffett also says, but it's not easy. And then his partner Charlie Munger advises, take a simple idea, but take it seriously. Now, consider this book that's called The Intelligent Investor that Ben Graham, who is called the father of value investing, wrote and published way back in 1949. When I meet investors in my workshop, I ask them this question: how many of you own The Intelligent Investor? A lot of hands go up. And my next question to them is: how many of you have read it? Most hands go down. Now, a lot of people would tell me that The Intelligent Investor is a complex book to understand and that there are no simple rules in it. For one, I agree with them that The Intelligent Investor, on a relative basis, like when I compare it with Peter Lynch's One Upon Wall Street, is slightly difficult book to read. But one of the biggest causes of difficulty for most people, as I can assess, is that The Intelligent Investor does not lay down clearly the secrets of making it big in investing or in the stock market. It does not reveal any secrets of finding the next 100 baggers. It does not talk about beating the markets. It does not offer any secrets of making you the next million. And I think it is these reasons that add to its perceived complexity. But as I have realized through my multiple readings of this book over the years, this is one of the very few that help build the character required to become an intelligent investor. And character building, as compared to wealth building, is often a complex subject to read about and practice. So we invent these excuses that something is complex because they provide us comfort and safety and the reason to not pursue those things, like reading The Intelligent Investor. But then these excuses often lead us to bad behavior and poor decision making, whether it's about investing or outside investing. Now, let me talk about these two chapters from The Intelligent Investor. One is chapter number 8, which is about the investor and stock market fluctuations. And then chapter 20, where Ben Graham explains the very important idea of margin of safety as the central concept of investing. These chapters, I believe, contain 80% of what you need to know and seriously practice to become an intelligent and successful investor. I think the common theme that binds these two chapters is how an investor should think, how he should behave, and how he should act intelligently. In chapter 8, for example, Graham writes how and why investors must think of stock investing as owning small parts of businesses and thus not get excited or depressed seeing prices fluctuate daily. He writes in this chapter, and I quote, the true investor can take advantage of the daily market price or leave it alone, as dictated by his own judgment and inclination. He must take cognizance of important price movements, for otherwise his judgment will have nothing to work on. Conceivably, they may give him a warning signal which he will do well to heed. This, in plain English, means that he is to sell his shares because the price has gone down, foreboding worse things to come. In our view, such signals are misleading at least as often as they are helpful. Basically, price fluctuations have only one significant meaning for the true investor. They provide him with an opportunity to buy wisely when prices fall sharply and to sell wisely when they advance a great deal. At other times, he will do better if he forgets about the stock market and pays attention to his dividend returns and to the operating results of his companies. Quotes closed. Now, one of Graham's powerful insights in this chapter is when he writes, and I quote, the investor who permits himself to be stampeded or unduly worried by unjustified market declines in his holding is perversely transforming his basic advantage, that is, the freedom to choose whether or not to follow stock prices, into a basic disadvantage. Quotes closed. Then in chapter 20, Graham takes this idea of not using market prices but business principles as a base for valuing stocks. Here he explains that stocks should only be bought when they are priced substantially below their intrinsic value. In fact, he considers this principle that he terms as margin of safety to be of paramount importance, as seen from how he opens this chapter, where he writes, and I quote, in the old legend, the wise men finally boiled down the history of mortal affairs into a single phrase: this too will pass. Confronted with a like challenge to distill the secret of sound investment into three words, we venture the motto, margin of safety. Quotes closed. The idea that Graham stresses on in this chapter is that a prudent investor, like a prudent business owner, must have a margin of safety available while making investments. This is because such a margin would help the investor absorb the effect of miscalculations, or worse than average luck. And what is more, Graham suggests that this margin of safety must rest upon simple and definite arithmetical reasoning from statistical data. Here we go back to chapter 8, where he writes, and I quote, a stock does not become a sound investment merely because it is bought at close to its asset value. The investor should demand, in addition, a satisfactory ratio of earnings to price, a sufficiently strong financial position, and the prospect that its earnings will at least be maintained over the years. Quotes closed. So that is it. What Graham suggests in these two chapters that an investor must do is the simple part of the equation. The not easy part is taking these lessons seriously and practicing them over a long period of time. And especially in today's times when too much information and too much noise crowds these lessons out for an investor's brain. And when too many people are seeking instant gratification, like we are seeing now. Before I close, let me share this beautiful quote from the chess legend Garry Kasparov, who advises this in his introduction of his book, How Life Imitates Chess. So he wrote, and I quote, the stock market and the battlefield are not as tidy as the chessboard, but in all of them, a single simple rule holds true. Make good decisions and you will succeed. Make bad ones and you will fail. Let me change this quote a bit and suggest that to become an intelligent investor, a simple rule holds true. Read and seriously apply the lessons from chapters 8 and 20 of Graham's The Intelligent Investor, and you will succeed. Don't apply those lessons and you may fail. To end, remember that investing does not have to be complex to be intelligent. So please embrace simplicity, master the fundamentals, and your path to financial success will become clearer than ever before. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay curious, stay wise, and stay well invested. Thank you.